Wednesday today. You're rocking it.
That's cool. Very meta.
Okay.
Sean's got a library of about 4 movies. Step Brothers is numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I appreciate every single time you go to that one, my friend.
There's some wedding.
More than that.
I'm trying to think of the other one you pull very often. The Wedding. What's the one with Vince Vaughn?
Wedding Crashers.
Wedding Crashers.
Love an Old School.
Old School's a big one for you, too. A lot of Bed Bath & Beyond out of you.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Look, it's going to be a rocking show because, you know, there's a couple of Seans on the show.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
One of them sounds like something that happens at
Here we go.
at McSorley's, right?
Yeah.
Sean Murphy Bunting.
Like
that sounds like something like a bunch of Irish guys do together. That's a verb.
More than Sean O'Hara.
Yeah, I mean, he's spelled a little bit
Sean
differently.
O'Hara.
Just a couple of Irish guys hanging out at a breakfast table.
Scotty Miller also on our program. And, I mean, Kyle, why isn't he talking about Pancake Power Hour?
I don't know. I would think. And by the way, Sean, when you're at the pub, there's no bunting. It's only home runs.
Yeah.
It's over the
Pancake
fences.
Power. What is this? Tell the people.
Yeah, Pancake Power, just a fun little segment. It's a hybrid. It's like if you took Cool Plays Bro and Angry Runs and threw it in a blender, that's what you get.
I've never seen this segment.
That's great.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
I'm excited. It's
get
time
your
for
Sharpies
the
out.
lead block.
Lead block.
Little shimmy. Let's do this. Okay, our very own NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport gave us this news yesterday. We heard about Patrick Mahomes and his foot injury. Well, he is scheduled for surgery today to repair his turf toe. That rehab will be, of course, several months. He's expected to make a full recovery. Wishing him all of the best. I know just any day he'll also be having a baby. So a huge couple days here for Patrick Mahomes, a huge year. Now, clearly, the toe was an issue. It's the most important toe in sports, if you ask me. The offensive line, also a huge issue here. And, Sean, you pointed out yesterday the drops were also a huge issue in Super Bowl 55. I want to know the biggest concern. We're removed here now, several days from the Super Bowl, as it sits with you guys now, and it's sort of soaked in. What's the biggest concern for the Chiefs now heading into the offseason, Sean?
Well, obviously, Mahomes getting healthy is a huge concern, but keeping him healthy, right? I mean, I think when you look at the Super Bowl and the fact that your quarterback was running around, you look at running left, dodging blitzers, trying to avoid a pass rush, you've got to protect the guy. Like, you don't invest $500 million into a house or a property and put a padlock on it, right? You get that thing a state-of-the-art security system, and you protect that little bad boy. So. Look, for Mahomes, they've got some issues up front. Obviously, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif opted out, so you got to find out, all right, is he coming back? Are we going to have our guard back in action next year? Mitchell Schwartz had a back injury. He missed half the season. What's going on with the right tackle situation? Eric Fisher, who just signed a big deal, tears his Achilles. I mean, there's never a good time to tear an Achilles, Kyle, right? Like, even if it's during a promo, but you certainly don't want to do it this late in the year. Now, all of a sudden, next year, you're struggling to be back healthy for the start of training camp. So a lot of question marks up front. And look, if I'm Bieniemy, if I'm Reed, if I'm Mahomes, we need to figure that stuff out now. We can't wait until July and try to piecemeal this thing together.
I look outside the Chiefs. Like, I think they're going to be okay, and we get to take care of the health, and the line, of course, matters. But if I'm on the Chiefs, I'm spending the offseason and I'm paying very close attention to the Pelisseros and the rap sheets of the world because I want to find out what's going on with Deshaun Watson. I think there is a respect for his ability and his game. And if he's leaving the Texans, I'm very interested as a Chief or a Chiefs fan about where he lands because that's a guy who matters. There's a handful of guys who could maybe end our season on a given year. We know Tom Brady can. Maybe Josh Allen will evolve into it. I think this guy's capable. So if you're a Chiefs fan, you're like, all right, let's say Houston finally folds and what if he comes to the West? What if the Raiders say, screw it, we're going to get him? Or the Broncos? What if he goes to Miami? I think immediately that Dolphins team, if they have Deshaun Watson, is terrifying of the Chiefs because that defense already picked him off 3 times. Imagine if Deshaun Watson was the quarterback of that team. I'm paying very, very close attention to where he's going because he matters. He is one of those guys like, oh, damn, now we got to deal with Deshaun here. We had our nice little AFC the way we wanted it. That is a table flipper to me. So within them, I don't think they have nuclear problems. Kansas City is still Kansas City. That provides an actual foe who could possibly take them out on a new team. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm thinking 30,000 feet if I'm looking at Chiefs Kingdom right now. And it has been a really difficult few days. The Super Bowl is one thing. They lost one of the greatest beat reporters that covered the Chiefs and a young man named Therese Paylor, who I knew very personally, and they're grieving from that right now. And to everyone watching, if you're not aware, please go look up some of his work. He passed away suddenly in the night 2 nights ago. And as you say, well, how does that affect the Chiefs? this is a guy who was with that organization for a long time covering the team, and the front office loves that young man, and my heart breaks for his family. And I know this went to a place like that, but I think you look at the Super Bowl and you say, okay, well, everyone repeats and everyone gets back, and well, they'll be back. They're young, and Tyreek Hill's there. Things happen off the field that, like, the Seattle Seahawks, they lose on that Malcolm Butler, but they've been back to the Super Bowl since. And a lot of that talk that Mike Robinson had here was like, Pete Carroll, it was hard for them to just snap their fingers and get back motivated again when they came that short. I don't want to take for granted things off the field. And I think the Britt Reed situation, as we see how that plays out over the next few weeks and next few months, curious to see how the organization responds to that and what that does emotionally to the big man in charge and also his wife and also the family and the community that goes on there. There are so many little intangible things that if we say, fix the offensive line, they're going to be fine. I think these organizations are not just about football. It's about family, it's about community, and it's about what they've been through. This has been a brutal week for that fan base, for that team, and that organization. How do you dig up out of it? And that's going to be Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, and of course Steve Spagnuolo. That's going to be their greatest challenge here. We just got blown out in the Super Bowl. We're grieving one thing. We're grieving another thing. And yes, the band is back together, but Travis Kelce dropped passes in that game. Tyreek Hill dropped passes in that game. Mahomes is now in surgery. It's the culmination of so many factors that aren't just X's and O's, and here's how we do the WASP play. It's great when you're riding high.
Yeah.
They are at the bottom right now. And how do you dig yourself back out? I find it fascinating because only one organization in the last few years has been able to do it after winning and then coming up short, and it's the Patriots.
I was going to ask, just Tom Brady somehow was able to do it.
They're able to get back there, and they were in the Final Four or the Final Two. And they went through so much.
A lot of bad stuff.
Suspensions
and league investigation. Controversy. Tragedies in their building. So how do you now deal with the low? And to me, that's going to be the biggest challenge for the offseason for the Chiefs, where they can't just snap their fingers and say, Kelce, smile and do your thing and dance. No, we're going through it right now. I know it's pretty heavy to start. A segment at 8 a.m. and again to the family of Therese Paylor, like I can't even imagine what you're going through right now. And maybe that doesn't affect the Chiefs in week 1, but the culmination of so many factors, it's one thing after another this week. Chiefs Kingdom, I'm looking for you. You got to lift yourself above this. It's a challenge, and it's beyond football.
And what adds to that challenge and sort of conflates and adds on top of it is the fact that there is pressure of a window, Schrags. I mean, everybody is pretty much coming back next year, right? So they have that going for them. But you mentioned the Seahawks. We sort of saw they won one. They squandered a chance at a second one. And after that, sort of the personnel on the roster started dissipating, and they couldn't keep it together, and they haven't been back since. And it reminds me a little bit of the Chiefs. Everyone's coming back. We mentioned the offensive line. Then you do those start after thinking about Mitchell Schwartz. You have to start thinking about Eric Fisher. His deal will be up. Tyrann Mathieu will be gone. So some of this talent, Mahomes, that cap hit, that's going to start ramping up after this next year. So to me, the concern is that time is ticking to keep everyone together. Like, yes, they'll be back next year, but there is this window, Kyle, and I think that pressure adds on top of everything you guys were just saying. I don't know. They're going to be good with him as their quarterback going forward, but is 2021 their best shot at keeping this together and winning this? Will the roster around Mahomes be the best this next year going forward? That's why it's frustrating they didn't win this one. This is one of those years where, like, they're ahead of the game. The Bills haven't started mounting up yet, and they will, and next year they got to cash in another one. I think it's interesting, too, like what you're saying, Peter. I agree with you. The skeptic would say there's been some tragedies off the field. Next year you show up, it's 3rd and 8, Mahomes whips it to Tyreek, it's over, it's Kelce, it's just ball. I wonder, Sean, is that naive? These things off the field, do they really affect the football, or is we just caught up in some really, really sad stories right now? I think look, in this last year, I mean, you want to talk about distractions? There's been this year there were more distractions than ever. So I think that players can handle all that stuff in today's world, but it's definitely a factor when it's happening to a coach. And this isn't just Andy Reid's son that this is happening to as well. I mean, he was a coach, so like you're absolutely involved, and it's it definitely hits home. So. To the families whose children were affected by that too. I mean, that's big, and the one thing you can hope is that some of the good comes out of that. GMFB with your thoughts. Thank you for joining us. Excellent.